Let's try e4, 1836. Get a classical opening, Petrov, Russian game. I like to bring my knight out early and just trade this guy off. There's different ways black can react, yeah, like defending, for example. But bishop on this square is not as annoying as having a knight there. Having a knight there is somewhat irritating. Let's go ahead and put the pawn up. Going to develop my light squared bishop and castle, threatening to pin his bishop. I don't know. If I put my bishop here, he'll just push this pawn forward, defending his bishop and kicking mine. So I'll just put it here and castle. Can always chase the. I can always chase the bishop with my knight. Yeah, especially after it's locked in, then now's a good time to chase it away. Then we can play here. This will result in an isolated queen's pawn for me, but if he takes. If he doesn't take, then I will take. So is the ram structure, and all. Oh no, we decided to keep the isolated queen's pawn after all. So the knight's going back here. Yeah, I was really expecting him to take with a pawn there because. And that was knight. Well, his knight could come out this way. He's just not interested in developing that knight, I guess. So I'm going to chase the queen away like so. And that does give up the rook pawn. Okay, let's save the rook pawn first. I can still immediately put my bishop here. He can stop it with a move like b5. I can play a4. Could be interesting. Let's see if he does anything about it. A pretty well-rated player. Yeah, let's just get my bishop out to a good square. Yeah, I went there. I was thinking of lifting my queen anyway. Is he threatening anything over here? He needs a dark squared bishop here to really threaten something. Now he decides to kick my bishop. Okay. Let's put it back and make a threatening threaten by pointing it at the queen. I have rook to c8, looking at the c6 pawn, rook to c1 rather. I think that might be good. I was expecting him just to put his queen back there on d5. That's actually a fine square for the queen, I can't immediately chase it away. I could double the rooks on the c file maybe. I don't know, is he really interested in trading queens? In this position, maybe he is. Maybe he is, because it makes my isolated queen spawn here more of a liability if he's traded. The heavy pieces, I think. How's it go? Actually, the rule is you should trade off the minor pieces and not the heavy pieces when you want to. Oh, he just wanted to get his rook there. Okay. I mean, he wanted to get his knight to that square. That makes sense. Now I understand. A knight on that square would be good, but I'll take this opportunity to put more pressure on the c file. I can also put my bishop here now that my rook is here. Could do that first, or I could take the pawn first. I think I should take the pawn first. I don't know if he didn't notice it wasn't protected or what. Yeah, he does get to have that trade in, gets rid of one of my bishops. Let's see, let's back up. I kind of took quickly there. I should have taken the rook, but I guess he just takes back. I take, queen takes, and then I take here. It all turns out the same. Okay, there he took, so let's take back. I can come in here with check, but I can bring my rook back. I think maybe ganging up on the e-pawn now is the more dangerous threat. Bishop here would be good, but my knight, fortunately, is guarding that square. I can bring my rook back here, maybe harass his queen some more. Yeah, he's looking for something here. He's got the bishop pair and some pressure on the center in compensation for the pawn. Yeah, so he goes there. So I have to defend from the side with the rook. That's the only piece that can do it. Then he can push the pawn. How about instead... I mean, if I come back here, he can push the pawn, and then my rook doesn't really have a good square. It can go here, and the queen moves, and then I'll have to move the rook. No, and then the rook is trapped. The bishop is hitting the rook. So instead of doing all that, we could just trade here. Take another pawn over here. Yeah, maybe you can't even trade, because when I take... I mean, when he takes and I take back and the rook takes, then there's this problem on the back rank. Yeah, I think it's a mate on the back rank, so he actually can't even take this pawn at the moment. So he attacks my bishop, and well, now my bishop can anchor itself here, but if I do that, I am locking up my rook. I could go back here. That would let me keep the rook in on the c file here. Although my bishop might be somewhat out of play, it can come back. So I'm thinking, drop the rook back. Okay, he wants to win a pawn over here. It's not too bad. Just let him do that. Or move the knight. Let him take here. And then we have same color bishops. Now, if I go here, you can move that bishop with check. I'm just thinking of the skewer this way, right? Moves the bishop with check, I take. Now we keep these two pawns. Oh, he takes there. But I take here. And, and this bishop is still hanging. And this hits the queen. And as I said, we have light squared, both have light squared bishops. So he got me to draw my bishop back. Anyway, yeah, I was going to do this with the bishop. And, well, I could just start pushing this pawn forward. Let's put the rook here. Okay, he ran out of time. Yeah, I think I'm working my way towards a win here. Here, let's go briefly to the analysis board. Like, for example, if he moved his queen to the side, tried to threaten me here, I could push. He could take the bishop. I could play check. If the king runs, I grab the rook. If he takes the rook, then I queen. He takes back with the queen. That wasn't a good idea. Okay, that's what I was thinking. So I guess pushing was not a good idea. Anyway, I do think I'm in good shape. Maybe I just pull the bishop back so it's safe. And the bishop defends the pawn here, and I still have the rook coming in here. Okay, interesting game. Let's see if we can play a rapid game here. Okay, I've got black. My rating is up to 2,000. Hasn't been there for a while. I'll try and play the Con Sicilian again, I guess. Let me remember the moves here. We got a Con Sicilian. Anyway, when I hit levels like this, I usually start losing, so I'm not optimistic about this game. But anyway, it's pretty normal so far. Yeah, this is a kind of funny line where you bring the bishop out to harass the knight here, which is momentarily undefended, and then you just bring it back. So it's like you got a free developing move because he had to retreat his knight. I don't know if it's a big deal. Anyway. I want to put the knight here without being harassed by this pawn. So that's the idea of this queen and pawn, keeping control of that square. Yeah, he can force an exchange now by pushing that pawn. Force a pawn exchange on a big deal. Be bringing my knight out here next and then castling. So I was playing fast. I should slow down at this point. We're out of any standard opening position that I know. In fact, I played this move, knight f6, a bit fast. I should probably have paused to consider before playing that. But I do just want to play knight c6 here. I don't see anything else. What can we say about his structure? He's got this bishop, which is defending the pawn. This pawn comes forward, the diagonal opens up, so attacks on the king side are possible. It's possible to push the e-pawn forward at some time to block that and leave myself with a backwards d-pawn, a typical Sicilian. But I'm going to try and keep things low and get my bishop developed along this diagonal. That's the general plan here I have. And he doesn't yet have any pressure on the d-pawn, but that is a potential problem I do have to watch out for. Sometimes I can push this pawn forward, but also sometimes I will push the e-pawn forward, depending on how things develop. Anyway, Ronan is taking his time and thinking about the position, so I cannot complain about that. That's I always complain when people take too much time. I mean, when they move too fast, so I can't complain if they take their time. So I could castle here. I could play b6 or b5 to prepare the bishop move. Yeah, there's no hurry to castle, is there? After castling, this rook can come over to the d file in one move, whereas if I push this b-pawn, it takes 2 moves to bring the other rook over. But is there immediate pressure on this file, this pawn? No, I don't see it. So let's go ahead. And do I want to go b6? Is it important to control the dark squares with pawn on b6? It'd be kind of like a hedgehog formation. Or just do the normal move. To me, this looks normal. b5. Advance as far as you can. Take the space. They both have the idea of developing the bishop to b7. And castle and put the rooks on the d file and the c file, the open file, and the file with the mobile pawn here. So he decides to lock things up. The knight maybe could still come here to here. On a good day, right now I suppose if it ever went there it would get traded off, but that's something to think about. The other route to this square, yeah, other routes to that square are not so easy to get to. I could try and come in through this square. So for example, knight here to here to here to there. That would get me there. And he is interestingly looking at the dark squares. Castle. So that's the reason for keeping this pawn back, I guess, is keeping control of the dark squares here. He has a loose bishop. I should have paused to think about that. I mean, he has a loose knight. I'm sorry. So in my previous move, I could have played knight takes pawn, and I can still play it. Do I want to play it? Is there a cost in doing that? Knight takes pawn. If he doesn't take the knight, I'll probably take the bishop next. If the bishop moves, I'll take the knight, so that's not a good idea. If he takes my knight, I'll take his knight. If the knight moves, I take the bishop. Yeah, it's just a loose knight. Gotta exploit these opportunities when they appear. Which I didn't do. It would have appeared the move earlier, but at least I spotted it eventually. He could defend the knight as well with the bishop, but then I still take his other bishop. So yeah, he took the knight. And we'll see how he deals with this position. Yeah, the pawn is weak here. and backwards. Maybe it's not such a big deal. And I just won a pawn. Just a pawn, as they say. This is under fire, isn't it? Okay, I like the queen where it was, back on c7. I think that's where I'm going. He also defended his b pawn with the bishop here. Yeah, I don't want to put my queen in the way of the bishop. He also defended his e-pawn, so he's got that. He's going to try and bust things up here. So I want to take. And you can take back with the rook or the bishop. If he takes with the bishop, he's setting up a discovered attack on my queen, so I'll step to the side. And if he takes with the rook, I'll step to the side as well, I guess. Just keeping off the back rank so my rooks are free to come in. And I'm thinking rook to the c file would be a good move right about now. Pawn to d5 looks interesting as well because it hits the rook, so he can't push the pawn. He has to take, and I can take back with a piece. Yeah, I think that would be good. That would like consolidate my position here. So he takes there first. But when I take, he's got a loose bishop here. Let's see how he defends that. Ah, the knight. He takes with the knight, and that defends the bishop and attacks my queen. So I don't have to take. Say I take his knight, he takes my knight. I have to take back, so that doesn't work. I go here hitting the rook. He takes my knight, I take his rook. He takes my bishop, I take his bishop. That would be good. Oh no, because the pawn here is hitting my rook. That doesn't work either. Okay, pawn takes pawn, knight takes, hitting my queen, defending his bishop. Where does the queen go? That's the question. It can rise up to this square, I guess. You can attack it with the bishop and hitting this guy. So that's not so good. Pawn takes, knight takes, queen here or here. Here is covered by the queen. Here there's a discovery with the rook. Yeah, it's actually a little awkward for my queen here, isn't it? I can go to the dark file, to the dark square. I can go to d6. Where it's defended by my dark squared bishop, whereas knight cannot easily attack it, at least not until this rook moves. His rook can't go here to harass me, and his dark squared bishop could go here looking at me through the rook. And I could move to a different square after that, I guess. I don't have to move right away, do I? Maybe bring the rook over next to try and make some space for myself on this side. Yeah, I did go there. Okay, if the knight moves somewhere that doesn't defend the bishop, then I can take the bishop. So the move I have to worry about is knight here, which would be a double attack. Rook hitting my knight hitting my rook, bishop hitting my queen, knight defending the bishop. So that's the move. But if I move my rook here, I think that solves that problem. And okay, take a deep breath. Bishop here check is dangerous, but okay, just drop my queen down here. Just have to put my queen somewhere where it is defended, as long as it's on this file. And now he's got to, well, he can take my bishop. Very tactical play from my opponent, trying to turn the tables here. But his knight is hanging. His rook is not hanging, but he probably doesn't want to allow me to trade. If I trade and trade queens, I could even grab this pawn. So he takes there first. I'll take back. Yeah, I'm just a pawn up, so, and he still has the bishop pair. He's got to rescue this knight somehow. Trading it off for my bishop would give him the bishop pair in compensation for the pawn, but he will have a weak pawn over here to try and defend. But I'm expecting knight takes bishop. I think that's the most logical move. My queen is still protected here. Yep, there he goes. Only move. So he's got the bishop pair. This pawn is hanging, and I'm one pawn up. I have an extra pawn here. Aha, so he says I can't take it, of course, because of this. Let's erase some of those lines. So I take his bishop. He takes here with check. Nice tactical play. And defends the pawn here. So I will put my queen here. Switch to the light squares for the moment. Queen here threatens mate. Knight here undefends. Let's go ahead and do this. My knight's covering there. Okay, so he blocked that. Let's, if I push this pawn forward, he pushes his pawn forward, I can take his bishop. If he doesn't, how is he going to defend the bishop? I guess, yeah, let's just trade off these weak pawns over here. Don't want to always have to be defending them, and it removes the anchor from this bishop, so it'll become a target, hopefully. Huh, what is that? He's just hitting my knight. So we can trade. He wants to give me a passed pawn in exchange for... Oh, he didn't. He didn't really want to trade. It was kind of a bluff, really. Okay, so what I should do is wander my knight over here. To the king side. So I'm looking at the dark squares on the king side, if I can stick my knight into those squares, or maybe my queen. Use the queen and the knight to try and do something. So he's going back to harassing the knight. If he really wants to trade, that bishop for my knight, I don't mind. If I go here, it's a self-pin. There. It's too bad I can't put the knight here. It's almost. It would work if there weren't for this pawn. I could put the knight there. See, I could put the knight here. He could try and bring his rook here. Is that his idea? And then my knight could go here, looking at this square. Let's just try this. So yeah, knight here and queen here, except bishop is in the way, but that would be nice, something like that. Or maybe just knight here, and take here, and then take here with the queen. Might be good enough if it weren't defended. So it's an idea. Or knight here and then sacrifice over here. Okay, he's going to force a trade. Let's erase the arrows and figure out the best move here. I need to defend the bishop. Can attack his bishop at the same time. I could take the queen. Trade the bishop. It's a good end game for me. So if I go here to attack the pawn, he pushes it forward. Let's attack his bishop first. Oh, he really wants to go all the way to the endgame. Okay, that's cool. That is cool. Just got to be careful not to trip up with my knight. So, knight here. So this should be a winning endgame. I don't know why he went for it. It's it'd be a draw, a theoretical draw anyway. Oh, he wrote, "Take it, it's free." I wonder what he was referring to. I didn't notice when he put those comments out there. Maybe he was encouraging me to take his bishop when my queen would get caught in a trap. Okay, so knight here. So I'm getting close to where I can threaten this pawn. Let's bring my king forward. He's defended the pawn. Yeah, there's a nice check here. See where the king goes. If he comes forward, I'll play my g-pawn forward with check. So I think he'll go to the side or back. No, he came forward. Okay. Now he goes back. There we go. A little bit of an advance there. So I only have to worry about pawns that are on the dark square. So just these two are the only ones I have to worry about at the moment, as long as his king isn't near them anyway. Because the bishop is the only piece that can attack them. So what I would like to do is create a passed pawn. Maybe I should have pushed, but I'll wait for him to take. when I take back, I guess I'm okay. Decides to attack my knight first. Yeah. Anyway, what I was going to say is that what I want to do is attack this pawn and force it forward and then take it. But it seems like that's not in the cards. Where's the best place to go here to attack it? Can attack from here, and then his king can't come over to defend. So he goes there. It's not so easy to win these endgames. I mean, they may be theoretical wins, but got to be slow and patient, step by step, and try not to get ahead of yourself. So that means I have a good chance of blowing it and losing or drawing. So I wonder if pawn forward check and the king comes up, then knight here check. It's almost a mate. No, the king can go back on the light squares. Okay, anyway, he decides to go to the light squares anyway. So, yeah, I was going to attack that pawn, force it forward. And now when I attack it, his king is too far away to defend it. So, yeah, I think his last chance was to push his pawn forward. Now I can just win this pawn. That's one way to do it. So he just switches his bishop to point to the other one, but it doesn't matter. Just doesn't matter. So how best to do this? Put the knight here. Push the pawn forward. Now, getting tricky again. If I rush with this pawn move, it might be good. But if I push this pawn forward, he can attack it with the bishop. I can defend it. If I push the pawn forward, his king can come back. There's some value in keeping the king confined here. Let's step back with the knight and push the other pawns too. If I get two passers, that's, I think, the easiest way to win this. Which pawn to push? Not sure. I'll try attacking this pawn next. Next target. He comes back to defend. So I can sacrifice this pawn to take this pawn. Does that work? Maybe it doesn't. I can go here, threatening the queen. Then I have to go here, I guess, to stop his pawn from coming forward. Yeah, this might have been a move too far. Who knows? Okay, I step forward, takes. I take with the pawn, he takes here, and then my king comes forward. I think that's good enough to win. Okay, I push, he takes. I take, his king steps up. It's one of those positions where... Oh, man. Should have calculated this out before I played into it. I mean, if you can queen click quickly enough. I push, he takes, I take. Moves his king over, I move my king over, he moves his king over, I move my king over, he moves his king back. It's a draw. Push here. He takes, I take. He just steps his king up. I step my king back. And then it's a draw because of his king position. So is there a king position that he has which would let me keep him out? I mean, I can waste a little bit of time here by trying to create a Zugzwang. Let's see what we can do. Push, take, push. Yeah, unbelievable. Okay, I have to move quickly now. I guess I have a draw here if I want it. Let's go for the draw. Anyway, it was an interesting game. He got off at the end. Let's see. Let's go to the analysis board. So I think my mistake was, and sadly I lost 2 points, so I'm now at 1998. Well, goodbye 2000. Anyway, I allowed this trade of the bishop for the knight because I thought it might be good. Could have taken with the king. That's what the computer's suggesting. And I guess if he takes here, I go here. He goes back. One difference is I'm in front of the pawn. Yeah, and that's winning. So I had to win, and I just blew it at the last moment. Oh well, easy come, easy go. Well, see you all next time. Bye now.